Hello and welcome to Easy Like a Sunday Morn. I'm your host, Shane Lockwood, and this is episode 48. This is a podcast where instead of me trying to spruik Squarespace or these different companies to try and get money and stuff like that, this channel is about you and me and the dog barking in the background, just having a bit of a, gee, what's going on over there? Crazy stuff. I don't want to stop recording, but I've got no idea. I'm walking along and it's 7 PM on Sunday night. It's Australian time, so this show is geared towards an American audience, so that's when Sunday morning will want to go up for them. But wow, I wonder if someone's trying to break into the house. They've stupidly done something, tried to break into a house with dogs. Far out. Yeah, I don't know. This is going to be a weird one. I don't want radio silence, but I don't know how much of that you can actually hear. But there was someone who was like rattling a fence before, and it's all going off. It's all happening. It's all happening. You go to record a podcast. This is the dramas and things that go on. Anyway, this is not about the hard sell or anything like that. This is about trying to relax on a Sunday morning. Maybe you've overindulged on a Saturday night and you just want to mellow out, and you just want to capture that feeling of relaxing and mellowing out and not thinking about barking dogs and people breaking in and those things that can trigger anxiety attacks. So we're just going to relax a bit, and I'm going to talk and then talk and then talk some more, and you just relax and listen to the sound of my voice. Maybe you've got something you need to do that takes 15 minutes or 30 minutes or however long this podcast is, and you can just play this in the background while you're drawing a picture or doing the ironing or doing the dishes or something you don't want to do but you want to have it done in half an hour. You just play this and you start doing it, and then you don't focus on the things that you hate doing, you just focus on my voice. And you hear traffic noises in the background because I'm on my way home. I apologise for the intro here. This was quite unusual. I thought instead of recording on the way to see my friend Jeff, he wasn't there this week. It's not his week. He was there last week, and he's doing fine, by the way. I think what they do is they give him like a certain amount of chemotherapy, and what happens is you take it for like a certain period of time, and it makes you very weak, and then you don't take it for a little bit of period of time, and to get your body to recover, and then you've got to take it again. And I don't know, I think it might be 3 or 4 months in between each session, but I don't know. That's something I might have to look up. What have I been doing lately? I've been watching a TV series called Mr.Robot. It's actually quite good. It's about this guy he's autistic, and so therefore he's not very social. But what he does in order to counter his autism is he hacks people, and that's how he gets to know you, whether you're a good person or you're not a good person. It's by what you do in secret, and he'll have access to everything you do on Facebook, everything you do on YouTube, like all your Google searches and everything. So you can be the nicest guy in the world on the surface, but in reality you're downloading like the worst material possible, and that's how he judges you, but based on like what you download and what you access and things like that. Then he has this idea that he's going to take on this evil conglomeration, and yeah, it was very, very interesting. Now what they did was, in the United States, they showed 9 episodes, and each episode is like, I think the pilot episode's an hour, the other episodes are like 45 minutes long each, but they held off on the season finale for an entire week. It won't come out till next week because motorbike. It won't come out until next week because there was a series of murders that happened pretty much in the same way as a murder in the show of an episode that hasn't aired yet. And that raises an ethical question. Should you delay releasing material if it reminds people of a horrific event? I mean, it's just, it's funny that, I don't know, let me know what you think in the, let me know what you think in the comments down below. I'm nearly home, and then I'll switch to maybe a live show, I don't know. But yeah, this has been really interesting. Yeah, so if I understand why companies will withdraw footage. For example, the very first Spider-Man movie, they had a trailer in which Spider-Man uses the Twin Towers as the focal point for a massive spider web, and he catches these bank robbers. They fly off in a helicopter, and the helicopter gets caught in the web in between the two Twin Towers. And of course, because of 9/11, they pulled the trailer because it was just a bit too close to home. And while I disagree with censorship, I think there are times when there's like a time and a place, but sometimes it can go too far. With the original Star Wars movie, and I will always call it Star Wars, and I get into trouble because people say, well, why don't you call it Episode 4 and why don't you call it A New Hope? It's because when it came out in the cinemas, and when I saw it in the cinemas, it was called Star Wars. Excuse the cars. It was called Star Wars, right? So yeah, it was called Star Wars, so that's why I called it. Now, in Star Wars, what they did, and I didn't find this out until this year, was that they had actually shot footage of female X-Wing pilots. Now, the X-Wing TIE Fighter, X-Wings are the good guys. They had shot footage of female X-Wing fighters, and they had been killed in the movie, in the original cut of the movie, but it was felt that, hang on, I'm trying to unlock my front door. It was felt that helps if you're not drunk. So you get a good earful of that. Excuse me for snorting. Okay, so yeah, I'm all over the shop. Home, turn the light on, shut the door. See, this is why you should always do a podcast at home. But anyway, they cut the footage of the women getting killed or shot down, blown up, because they felt it was too close to the Vietnam War. Not that women were killed to the same extent in the Vietnam War, but they just thought, and it was a bit sexist at the time, but it was 70s, you know, so it was a very different mindset, very different, a very different point of view. Wow, has that been 20 minutes already? I just want to say thank you once again for listening, and I know that I've rabbited on, and this podcast has been about not a whole lot, but I'm grateful that there are people who will listen. Actually, can you hear the hum of the computer fan? Yeah, sorry about that. That's why I don't really record at home. I'm sitting in front of my computer now. And, okay, so someone's just uploaded a video. And it's interfering with this. Anyway, I'm rambling. But if you do like this podcast, if you want me to contribute more educational, proper fact-based stuff, then please leave a comment and leave a like, thumbs up, etc. on whichever medium that you're listening to this through Facebook, there is a Facebook group, there is a Spreaker, Stitcher, I think, and what was the other one? Something to do with radio. I've forgotten the name of the website now. There was a big fuss when I got onto that. But yeah, thank you for listening to the podcast. You can do a better job of this. Anybody could. I'm just flustered, and I want to stop and start this again. But the reason I'm not is because that of the dog barking kerfuffle, and I wanted to capture it, and I wanted to have a record of it. But yeah, if you like what you hear, please click thumbs up, click add plus, add me to your favorites, all sorts of stuff like that. This will be a semi-regular occurrence, hopefully every week, and I will do a lot more research and things like that. But okay, before I go, what can I do? That was only 12 minutes. I was looking at the wrong thing. So now I've got everybody confused, thinking, hang on, where did all the extra time go? Anyway, I've got a long way to go. I've got 17 minutes to fill. Great. So just ignore the first half of the show. I apologise once again. Okay, now I can go straight into fact mode. I'm sitting in front of Google. I've got the entire internet in front of me. It's funny how people don't realise that. Like, Google is a search engine. You can search anything. And especially elderly people, and no offence to elderly people. Hang on, I'll just pause this while I take my jacket off. Oh, that's so much better. Okay. Let's see, what was I talking about? Yes. I got the entire internet in front of me. And I'm actually reading, someone had posted I'm not going to mention it or link to it, but, well, I will mention it, but I won't link to it. A spoiler board, what they call a spoiler board. It's where what someone does is they grab all of the spoilers for a certain movie, and they put them up on a board. Not literally a board, but like a PDF file. And what they do is they say, okay, now I've got one for the Star Wars Force Awakens, and I'm reading through it. And because what they've done is, this is just a fan thing. So what they've done, they've got as much hints and tips and quotes and things as they can. Every little screenshot, leaked footage, behind the scenes stuff. And they've linked it all together to try and make it into a cohesive story. But then what they do is they give you like a confidence rating. So at the very, very beginning, it says something like Act 1, and then it starts off with confidence factor of 70%. So it starts off with an opening scroll, and then it starts going in and showing you photos of, you know, stormtroopers and this and that, and stuff like that. So it just goes through the plot. It's quite interesting, really. My throat is rather dry, so I hope that you don't mind if I grab another drink. Back again. Hope you don't mind me pausing this show every now and again. It's a brilliant feature, the pause button. You can do all sorts of things off air. I think professional TV shows, professional TV shows, like the news and stuff, have what they call a cough button. And it might be called a burp button or something like that. It's like if you feel the need to burp or do something worse, you can hit the pause button. And yeah, it's quite interesting that they do this. And I find that a lot of news presenters, they don't wear pants. They'll wear undershorts, but they don't wear pants. You think, why is that? And it's because of the heat of the lights of the television lights that they use, apparently. So very, very interesting. Speaking of Star Wars, someone had posted something on Facebook, and it's an image of, you know, Darth Vader and stormtroopers, but it's got a sheet. It's got Star Wars Imperial March, and it's got what looks like sheet music. And someone had typed dun 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 underneath it. It's quite interesting, quite funny. That's right. There's been a gap in between my podcasts because a lot of people don't realise that I got attacked online, and it's one of these stupid things where you take what people say online seriously. And I'm not going to mention any names or anything like that. A few people know. Because they saw it happen, they chose to ignore it. But they decided to try and smear me, and they've been doing this for a while. But I hadn't sort of really picked up on it until I picked up on it. And they had been attacking, attacked 6 YouTubers in the last, not in the last 6 months, 6 months up until they attacked me. And it was over stupid stuff, whether or not you should monetize your videos or that sort of thing. And look, you've got one life. You've got one life, that's it. And nobody should be dictating who should be doing what with their life, but people want to do that. People want to tell you what you should and shouldn't be doing. And I grew up with a religious background, so there's a tendency for me to want to do that as well. But these guys, or this one particular guy, came at me full force, and just, you know, after last year being the worst year of my life, single-handedly, and it'd been getting incrementally worse leading up to last year. But so this year had been spent trying to rebuild, recover, and just trying to get my head back in the game, right? That's why last year I did start the podcast. I was doing that. That's why it's like August. It's nearly September, but there's only 47 episodes, 48, this is the 48th episode of a podcast that should be done weekly. You know, these people that they would be critical in, oh, you're half an hour late with the podcast. Well, no, it's a podcast. You can listen to it whenever you want, right? Oh, but it's not Sunday morning. But it's still Saturday in the UK, in the US. Or even in the UK, it's still Saturday. You know, those sorts of things. People kicking up a real big stink. You know, more people listen to this podcast on a Friday than any other day of the week. It's got Sunday in the title. What does that tell you? It doesn't matter. People listen to this whenever they want. It's the feel of the Sunday morning. It's not necessarily when it goes up or whenever. I try to record this on a Sunday just so that I have a mental anchor. So, okay, in the week, okay, it's Sunday, I've got to do something, That was the other thing. I got attacked because they thought that I wasn't doing enough for the YouTube community, which of course was a laugh and a half. These people were uploading copyrighted material and then couldn't figure out why they couldn't monetize their videos. And these people couldn't, how can you put it? They wanted everybody else to have their copyrighted material too, and when I refused, they kicked up a stink. They were posting racists and ignorant stuff on my wall. Now, post whatever you want on your wall, but there's a point where you think, hang on, I'm not just going to sit here and have you guys argue on my wall about whether Reclaim Australia is racist or not. Of course they are. They're a front for like a neo-Nazi group. And how can you not see that? How dumb do you have to be not to see that this patriotism, this blind patriotism, is thinly veiled neo-Nazism? These people say, oh, Aussie pride. I don't have Australian flags on my Facebook or on my YouTube or anything like that. I'm Australian. I'm proud of the great things that my country has done, right? But I'm also aware of some of the horrendous things that we've done, and some of the things that continue to be done, and the things that we should not be doing. We should have no part in a war with Syria that the US keeps trying to push. There's no point in doing that. The US created ISIS. The US created all this stuff. As bad as Saddam Hussein was, he was still a dictator. Okay, and he basically was keeping all these people, all the Arabic countries in line. Granted, it was with an iron fist, but they weren't attacking each other. There was no terrorist attacks on US soil, or Australian soil for that matter. There's a point where, is it Sweden or Switzerland? I think Switzerland's neutral. There's a conventional wisdom to that. This not getting involved. Actually, it brings me back to Star Wars again. And a few people were talking about that. Like why wouldn't Uncle Owen want to get involved with the Empire? It wasn't against the Empire. It would have been with the Clone Wars. Why didn't Uncle Owen get involved? Not want to get involved with the Clone Wars? And that's something that could have been explained or explored in the Star Wars prequels, but it didn't get it talked about. The other thing I'm looking forward to, speaking of Star Wars, is a cartoon called Star Wars Rebels. Now, the first season has already started and finished, but I think you can find it online if you know where to look, or find it at your local DVD store. It is okay for kids. Excuse me. It's okay for kids, but it's great for Star Wars fans and stuff like that. And it's set 5 years before the first Star Wars movie, so it leads right into it. What else is there? I've been playing a lot of Fallout Shelter. I think I mentioned that last podcast. I think I may have mentioned a TV show called Mr.Robot, and that's a brilliant show. It's 10 episodes long, but they delayed the last episode because it apparently oh, excuse me. I'm not actually looking at my phone when I'm recording, so when I go to cough, I haven't been able to pause it out. Anyway, and talking for this amount of time is not good for your throat. But on we go. Mr. Robot. It's about... Oh, that's right. They delayed the airing of the finale until next week because there's a scene where there's a couple of murders which resemble a real-life murder in, I think, New York or something like that. So they've had to... Excuse all these pauses. They've had to delay it, but the first 9 episodes that I've seen are absolutely brilliant. The pilot episode goes for about 65 minutes, I think, and the subsequent episodes are like 45 minutes each. But each episode is like a meal in itself. You sort of, after each one, it's like, oh geez. But you just want to keep watching them, find out what's going on. The story is basically about this autistic guy who... My throat's starting to become really dry. It was fine before, and I'm drinking heaps of water, and I don't know why it wants to play up. Anyway, he's an autistic guy who gets to know people through hacking them. Yeah, he gets to know people through hacking them. And so he knows all about, he'd know all about your Facebook stuff, he'd know all about YouTube, all your Google searches, like everything. And after a while he starts interfering with people's lives. And there's a group called F Society where what they were trying to do, it was like a group of hackers, and what they wanted to do was take down a corporation. But there's a twist with it all. It's very cloak and dagger, it's very suspenseful, it's very beautifully shot, brilliantly acted, and what happens is you find out there's another twist to the thing, because the guy, the main character, is a drug addict. But he's convinced himself he can't be addicted if he only takes like a certain amount. And then he sort of wakes up to the fact that any amount is an addiction, because he starts having withdrawal symptoms and stuff like that. But then you find out that not only is he like a drug addict, but he's also like schizophrenic as well. So he's starting to imagine people. You don't know who's imaginary and who's not, and people get killed and all sorts of weird and wonderful things happen. Oh man, what's the bet? Yeah, so it's a great series and I can really thoroughly recommend it. What's the bet that the moment that I stop recording and just give my throat a bit of a rest, that'll come good? And I don't know. Now, I had a bit of a cold last week, and thankfully that was gone by Wednesday. And now I'm just dehydrated, and I don't know why. Excuse me once again. Anyway, I've got just over a minute. Once again, if you do like the podcast, please, click like, subscribe to whichever format that you heard it in, and please leave me a message letting me know that you listen to the show. Oh, that's what I normally do. What I do, and I forgot last week to pick a code word, and let's see, one that I haven't picked before. Liters, Litres, liters, and that is the code word. That lets me know that you've listened to the show the entire way through, and I apologise for the stuff at the beginning. A lot of this stuff is out of my control. Normally you can just stop and just re-record, but I thought, no, hang on, the dog's barking and stuff like that. That was rather interesting. Yeah. People are silly. People want to break into other people's houses and do crazy stuff. Anyway, May your week be absolutely awesome, and take it easy like a Sunday morn.